Hitomi encounters Ogami. Ogami takes a diplomatic approach, proposing that if Hitomi provides information on how to deactivate the bombs, they can avoid a direct clash. However, Hitomi refuses, determined to see what Ogami is truly capable of. The battle that follows sees Hitomi initially gaining the upper hand. Meanwhile, Sakura, who is bound where Hitomi had kept her, closely watches the intense battle between the two code breakers. Realizing the seriousness of the situation, she calls for her loyal dog and asks it to free her from the restraints. Meanwhile, Ogami, worn out by the long and intense battle, reaches a point of exhaustion. In this weakened state, he pleads with Hitomi to explain the reason behind his actions, desperately seeking an answer for the chaos and destruction he has caused. Hitomi, also vulnerable, begins to open up about the past that has driven him to this point. He explains that he had once approached the Prime Minister with a simple request to allow the code breakers to be recognized and accepted by the world. But the Prime Minister's reaction was not what Hitomi had hoped for. Instead of granting his wish, the Prime Minister ordered his agents to kill Hitomi. Faced with this betrayal, Hitomi found himself in a deadly situation and had to fight to survive. Hitomi was shocked when Eden decided to back the Prime Minister's choice. As a result, they expelled him from the Code Breakers. He stresses that his main goal was simply to expose the existence of the Code Breakers to the world. However, Eden's refusal to agree with this idea has now labeled him as a criminal in their eyes. As Hitomi reflects deeply on his actions and motivations, he comes to understand that changing the Eden organization from within will require pressure from outside forces. His determination is driven not only by a desire to help the code breakers, but also by a deep concern for children with special abilities. These children, once isolated and separated by the government, are eventually brought into the ranks of the code breakers. Hitomi fears that if these children stay under government control, they will be turned into emotionless machines, devoid of emotions. Hitomi is driven by a deep sense of purpose. He is determined to make sure they are not turned into emotionless tools for the state. When Hitomi explains his reasons, Sakura disagrees, finding his methods troublesome. But Hitomi insists that his approach is the only possible way to bring about change within the Eden organization and achieve his goals. Meanwhile, as Toki and Miss Konda arrive at the Sky Tower to assist with the situation, they encounter resistance from Heike, who is determined to stop them from interfering. In a surprising turn of events, Oji returns to the scene. It appears that Heike had failed in killing her, and now she's ready to join the action. Upon her return, she immediately confronts Yukihina. Elsewhere, Toki eventually finds the Prime Minister, who is bound and desperately begs Toki to save him before the bomb goes off. But Toki pauses, wondering if the Prime Minister would really abandon him if the roles were reversed. Meanwhile, a fierce battle rages on between Yukihina and Oji. Oji accuses Yukihina of being the reason Hitomi has turned against them, struggling to believe how the once kind Hitomi could change so drastically. Yukihina shares Hitomi's viewpoint, claiming that the Prime Minister's and Eden's orders have given them the advantage, enabling them to go after those who commit wrongdoings against their will. He argues that there are even more dangerous people working for Eden than the Prime Minister, and their mission is to fight against this corrupt influence. The scene shifts to Hitomi's confrontation with Ogami. Hitomi claims that Eden used the code breakers to carry out assassinations, keeping their own hands clean, suggesting that their motives are the same. He reaches out to Ogami, inviting him to join in creating a new world and fighting by his side, just as they did before. But Ogami stands firm, refusing to join him. He admits he agrees with Hitomi's criticism of Eden's actions, but couldn't support Hitomi's own violent and deadly methods. Ogami sees no difference between Hitomi and the organizations he condemns, and this moral divide pushes them further apart. Hitomi, determined to end the fight, prepares to deliver a fatal blow to Ogami with his lightning power. At the last moment, Sakura courageously steps in front of Ogami, begging Hitomi not to kill him. Meanwhile, the Kizukura group of technicians, led by Sakura's father, finds one of the bombs. When they arrive, they face two young people who are determined to protect the bomb. These defenders, following Hitomi's orders, use their special abilities to guard the bombs, claiming they do so for the sake of special children. In the tense standoff, Sakura stands fearlessly in front of Ogami, solid in her desire to protect him from Hitomi's deadly attack. Hitomi, however, shows his merciless determination, with no hesitation in harming them both. He unleashes his lethal lightning power at Sakura, but to everyone's shock, it does not kill her. Frustrated by his failure, Hitomi coldly declares he will resort to a different approach, strangling her to death. Hitomi reminds Ogami that he has no plans to harm Sakura until after the Prime Minister and 50,000 citizens are dead, believing their deaths are key to his plan's success. The tension is unbearable as the timer races towards 0. To everyone's surprise, no bombs explode right away. It was Yuki who reached the location of these bombs on time and defused them successfully, and Yuki was told the location by none other than Heike. Then it is revealed that Heike, who once stood with Hitomi, has now turned against him and is on the side of the codebreakers again. My man changes sides more than most politicians would, but Hitomi reveals he has one final trick. He explains that while the bombs might have been set to explode, he has stayed at the sky tower to draw electricity directly from the sky, ensuring the bombs will detonate as planned. Meanwhile, after Toki frees him, the Prime Minister experiences a rare moment of reflection and weakness. He admits to Toki that he might be nothing more than a controlled pawn, suggesting that fear has driven his actions. As Hitomi continues his attempt to draw power from the sky, Yuki, Oji, and Heike struggle to stop him, but their efforts fall short. The situation worsens when Hitomi, blinded by his obsession, grabs Sakura by the neck with one hand, trying to choke her. The tension in the room is intense, and it feels like hope is slipping away. In the midst of this life or death battle, Ogami goes Super Saiyan, unleashing a massive blaze, far greater than anything the Codebreakers have ever seen. The flames roar and dance, showing a newfound power which just awakened inside our Burna boy. Reflecting on the past, Hitomi remembers when he was training Ogami in combat techniques as a new member of the Codebreakers. Back then, he stressed the need to stay alert until their enemies were completely defeated. During that time, they were close friends. In the present, after seeing the fiery blaze Ogami unleashed, Hitomi is shocked that Ogami hasn't succumbed to Codend. However, Ogami, driven by his resolve, boldly challenges Hitomi, declaring his firm intent to defeat him. As Hitomi sends his lightning toward Ogami, Ogami surprisingly absorbs all of Hitomi's powers. The battle intensifies as the two Codebreakers clash, leaving the outcome uncertain. Amid the fierce fight, everyone is astonished as Ogami absorbs Hitomi's lightning once again, ultimately overpowering him. Hitomi falls to the ground, defenseless, as his own lightning begins to strike him. The Codebreakers quickly realize he is reaching the dreaded Codend, a state that signals the end of a Codebreaker's life. In his final moments, Hitomi reveals his true intentions. He wanted to stop Eden from exploiting people with special abilities, and ensure they could live normal lives like any other citizen. His goal was to give them fulfilling lives, and to protect the other Codebreakers from being blamed for his actions. As Code One, he saw it as his duty and privilege to make this sacrifice. As he lies there, life slowly slipping away, Hitomi sincerely asks for their forgiveness for what he's done. With deep regret in his eyes, he calls out to each of them by name, sharing heartfelt thoughts about the qualities he admires in them. He acknowledges the strength of character each Codebreaker has, which he has come to respect and appreciate. Even though Hitomi sincerely apologizes and speaks from the heart, Ogami finds it hard to keep his emotions in check. He asks aloud why Hitomi has let them defeat him so easily, struggling to understand how the mentor and friend he once knew has become the enemy he just fought. Tears fill his eyes as the weight of the situation bears down on him. Through his tears, Ogami continues to voice his confusion and frustration, searching for answers to explain the sudden change in Hitomi. He wonders how they could go from being close friends and allies to opponents on opposite sides of a devastating conflict. As Hitomi's life fades away, he speaks with a serious urgency, reminding them that their unity, shown during their battle today, is crucial for their survival. He emphasizes that working together, as they have done, is the only way to keep each member of their Codebreaker team safe. In the midst of Hitomi's heartfelt message, the Prime Minister abruptly enters the scene, causing a bad shift in the mood. He confidently announces that he won't allow people with special abilities to fight in public. With firm resolve, he insists that, eventually, people will forget about the bombings, downplaying the seriousness of the situation. But Sakura can't stand by and let this go. She confronts the Prime Minister, challenging his refusal to listen to Hitomi's words. She urges him to think about what Hitomi was trying to express. The Prime Minister's reply reveals his disgust for Codebreakers, and his regret over a decision he once made. He regrets that if he had known Hitomi would turn into a terrorist, he never would have recruited him. In one last act of defiance, Hitomi gathers his remaining strength. Rising to his feet, he gets ready to strike the Prime Minister with a bolt of lightning. Before he can act, the other Codebreakers intervene. They finally grasp the true meaning of Hitomi's message. With this new understanding and determination, they urge him to rest, assuring him that they will take charge of the situation and fulfill the change he envisioned. Hitomi's last words reflect his acceptance of the growth and transformation that the code breakers have undergone. He realizes they needed to evolve on their own, even if he didn't see it at first. As he passes away, he leaves behind a legacy that will forever guide the code breakers on their journey toward redemption and justice. Who's cutting onions? In the next scene, Heike and the Prime Minister have a candid conversation in the Prime Minister's car. The Prime Minister reveals that he previously plotted to put Ogami against Hitomi as a way to test Ogami's true potential. Meanwhile, Sakura heads to school in the morning, expecting to see Ogami at their usual spot, but he is noticeably absent. Suddenly, Yuki shows up in his cat form and tells Sakura that Ogami has gone. He promises to help her if she needs anything and then leaves. Then Oji appears all of a sudden and offers Sakura a ride to school. On the way, Oji tells her all codebreakers have different jobs assigned to them. She also tells Sakura that Ogami is already on the way to his next burning assignment as a codebreaker. Sakura then thanks Oji for the ride, and they go their separate ways. Oji and Toki also leave, so Sakura is alone. She thinks about how Ogami is gone, and knows she might not see him for a while. But she remembers all the amazing things he and the other codebreakers did for the world. She understands that they did a lot without saying anything, and that they saved her life. She thinks to herself that they will always be in her heart and mind. The code breakers do so much for the world, even though the world doesn't even know they are heroes.